The decade between 2000 and 2009 was a particularly fruitful era for the horror genre, with some of the greatest horror movies hitting the big screens and some flying under the radar. There is a ridiculous wealth of movies to mention from this particular decade, however, we only have 5 spots, so honorable mentions go out to The Children, Wolf Creek, Hostel, Frailty, Severance, and Suicide Club. Now, with that being said, let's jump into our list of the top 5 scary, forgotten horror movies from the 2000s. Before we begin though, be sure to stick around until the end of the video where I'll be responding to some of your comments, and with that, let's jump in. Coming in at number 5, we have House of the Devil. After his incredible fall from grace with Cabin Fever 2, which he went on to disown, Ty West became an instant genre director to watch following his 2009 masterpiece, House of the Devil, which starred Greta Gerwig. That's right, Greta Gerwig, aka the director of Little Women. This horror film concerns a young college student who is hired as a babysitter at an isolated house and is soon caught up in a bizarre and dangerous event as she fights for her life. The film combines elements of both the slasher film and haunted house subgenres while using the satanic panic of the 1980s as a central plot element. House of the Devil is a delightfully old-fashioned tale of Satanism that remains one of the best things to come out of the vintage-tinged horror throwback. Now, eager for a sum of cash that could turn her life around, our protagonist Sam ignores all the red flags along the way until it is far too late and House of the Devil delivers maximum impact. It's a slow burn, that's for sure, but simultaneously creepy and beautiful. The film received hugely positive reviews, with Rotten Tomatoes gifting it an 87% with the general consensus reading. Though its underlying themes are familiar, House of the Devil effectively sheds the loud and gory cliches of contemporary horror to deliver a tense, slow-building throwback to the fright flicks of decades past. The movie suffocates you with its smoldering atmospheric dread and shocking moments of blunt violence. It is a must-watch. Coming in at number 4, one of my personal favourites, Trick or Treat. Michael Dougherty's Trick or Treat is perhaps the finest ode to Halloween ever created, and that's saying something. Released in 2007, this anthology film relates 4 Halloween horror stories with a common element in them: Sam, a mysterious child trick-or-treater wearing shabby orange footy pajamas with a burlap sack over his head. He is absolutely terrifying, trust me. The character in turn makes an appearance in each of the stories whenever a character breaks Halloween tradition. In this chilling horror, the residents of a small town are not quite what they seem. The local principal is a child-murdering sociopath, and the newborn virgin a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, what makes this movie so effective is Michael Dougherty's obvious love and respect for the horror genre, tradition, holiday lore, and superstition. Without naming any names or dragging any previous horrors about Halloween, Trick or Treat is quite simply the quintessential Halloween film. Now, the film currently holds an approval rating of 84% on Rotten Tomatoes, with the general consensus reading a deftly crafted tribute to Halloween legends. Trick or Treat hits all the genre marks with gusto and old-fashioned suspense. Honestly, if you want to gear up for Halloween 2020, considering we're all in quarantine, we don't have anything else to do, I suggest you check out this holiday classic now. Coming in at number 3, I've said it once, I've said it again, Session 9 is one of the greatest films. Brad Anderson blessed the horror genre with a small tale of encroaching madness that is absolutely haunting to behold. This 2001 psychological horror stars David Caruso, Peter Mullen, and Josh Lucas, and follows an asbestos abatement crew who begin to experience growing tensions while working in an abandoned mental asylum. This is paralleled by the gradual revelation of a former patient's disturbed past through recorded audio tapes of her regression sessions. Now, it should be said that there is really not much that is inherently terrifying about this film. There are no real jump scares, no blood or gore, and the pace is slow and action low. That rhymed. However, this slow burn has a way of creeping up on you, as the boundaries of sanity are blurred within the confines of an abandoned mental asylum. As the horror begins to unfold, a Lovecraftian descent into madness sweeps through the asylum, affecting every single crew member as they turn on each other, vanish, and reappear in this truly creepy narrative. Session 9 received mixed reviews, with the film currently holding a 63 approval rating, which is incredibly undeserving. It should be way higher. Bloody Disgusting ranked the film 5th in its list of 20 best horror films of the 2000s, writing, Session 9 isn't just a cheap hack and slash, instantly forgettable type horror film, but a psychologically probing, deeply unsettling journey off the edge and into the abyss of the human mind. Honestly, I can't stress enough how frightening this movie is, not to mention its chilling conclusion. Please check it out. Next up at number 2, we have Eden Lake. If this list has taught us anything thus far, it's that the 2000s were filled to the brim with some of the greatest underrated horror movies of our time. Eden Lake was one of the greatest. Released in 2008, 2008, this British horror stars Kelly Riley and Michael Fassbender, as well as a very young Jack O'Connell. The plot concerns Jenny, a teacher, and her boyfriend Steve, who head to a lake to spend a peaceful weekend. However, a group of undisciplined teenagers irk them with their continuous pranks, ruining their weekend. And it is far more than childish pranks, with the weekend becoming a fight to survive for everyone involved. Now, the film itself is among a group of roughly contemporaneous films that deal with concerns over broken Britain and fears of hoodies. Now, for those not from the UK, broken Britain refers to a perceived widespread state of social decay in the UK, with hoodies being at the forefront and also referred to as chavs. Lawless individuals have no respect for society. But back to the film. After the couple confront the gang of unruly teens, their weekend descends into madness, as conversation escalates with the teens quickly revealing themselves to be a sadistic force of violence. We hate to see it. Thankfully, the movie cleverly avoids the classist bent that threatens at every turn, instead focusing on the pressures and dangers of groupthink. Eden Lake was met with mostly positive reviews, with Rotten Tomatoes giving it 79%, with the general consensus reading, a brutal and effective British hoodie horror that, despite the cliches, stays on the right side of scary. The movie, particularly if you're from Britain, is a truly harrowing experience, with many having their own stories of hooded thugs. It is a chilling experience that will linger in the pit of your stomach for days, even months. And last on our list, we have Triangle. From writer-director Christopher Smith, who put a delightfully cheeky spin on the backward slasher genre with Severance, he got even more creative with the 2009 movie Triangle. This psychological horror stars Melissa George and a young Liam Hemsworth, and centers on George's character, who portrays a single mother who goes on a boating trip with several friends. However, when they are forced to abandon their ship in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle, they board a derelict ocean liner where they become convinced that someone is stalking them. Now, George's character Jess is a woman with an undisclosed source of agony behind her surface level calm, with plenty being revealed throughout the duration of the movie. Now, it's tough to even discuss the film without giving away its twists and turns, which are superbly executed throughout. However, what I can say is that a vicious time loop thrusts the group into a nightmare scenario, with Jess emerging at a pivotal time that may be the key to their escape. Now, overlapping timelines is incredibly difficult to execute. However, Christopher Smith does this with grace, displaying the horrors of being trapped in one hellish loop. The film was received well by critics and viewers alike, with the movie garnering an approval rating of 80%, with the general consensus reading, Triangle sails into some strange waters, but this intelligent, well-acted horror outing anchors its idiosyncrasies in a satisfying, scary story. Honestly, this film has stayed with me for many years, with it being one horror that isn't easy to forget, for many reasons. Particular scenes linger in the mind, however, it's its unique delivery that will make you want to return time and time again. Well, there we have it. Do you guys agree with our list? Were there any forgotten horror movies from the 2000s that we missed? What decade would you like us to cover next? Leave us all your thoughts and feelings in the comments down below, and perhaps we can do a part 2. Before I go though, I just want to respond to a few comments from one of our last videos. Top 5 scary forgotten horror movies from the 2010s part 2. Joey for Track said, "The Woman is great. Lucky McKee is such a unique and underrated director. His 2002 film May is classic, and his most recent film Kindred Spirits is one of his best. Sad to see no one talking about it. May and Kindred Spirits are free on Tubi. Go watch." Good to know. I don't know what Tubi or Tubby is, but I'll find them on another site. But I'll definitely check them out because I have not seen them. Vinny NG said, "Seeing Lucy and that bright as a heck background is something I can never get used to, and that smile. Honestly, I can't get used to that background either, and seeing myself smile, it unsettles me." Sonia Labrandi said, "Love it when Lucy is our host, she is amazing." Well, thank you, Sonia. Much love. Seal Brad said, "You know the Queen is just chilling in a robe and slippers reading this." Look, I'm not in a robe. I'm in a hoodie and slippers, okay? Yes, I'm wearing slippers. And on that note, if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another scary vid. And until next time, see you later.